Today will be hot with hot coffee. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Why am I not having my helmet?
Tell us why.
Because we spoke yesterday, but you didn't tell me I need to carry a helmet, and plus I don't even know where to purchase it, but I'm so glad that you have come.
Thank you so much.
A lot of viewers were looking forward to this segment because we talked about it yesterday, and we promised them that you will come.
Awesome.
And what you do with the motorcycle is something that I know a lot of girls now want to venture into or are already venturing into, but we don't want them to do 2-3 rides around a sports ground and then come out as, you know, quote unquote professional. So welcome to the Arrive Alive segment. I talked about the gender aspect, but I will not say ladies first when it comes to saying good morning to the viewer. It's an easy Friday. Mr. Worotet, thank you for coming. Please salute the viewers this morning.
Why don't you have a helmet? Remember the past conversation you said, buy yours.
Oh, yes.
Viewers, good morning. It's yet another beautiful day. I asked you yesterday to make sure you invite a friend. Never ever miss. We are just on the beginning. Thank you.
Never ever miss. Allow me to introduce you, Wamuyu Karaoke.
Yes.
You are the Road Safety Officer, Private Bikers Association.
Yes.
It's good to have you. Where's the bike?
The bike is somewhere.
Yes.
Obviously, I also wear a lot of caps. I do road safety awareness with commercial riders, mostly referred to as border borders, and a brand called I Ride for Helmets. Yeah.
Okay.
And now that you said you don't know where to buy a helmet, today you will.
I will today, and everyone
Yes.
else like me who's thinking the quality that is standard,
Yes.
affordable,
Yes.
then we're going to ask you that question as we wrap up, because festivities, some of us just love to just sit on those bikes and enjoy ourselves. Now, we wanted to talk about, if you saw our poster, safe travels, because right now it's festivities and most of us are just thinking of, wow, Nairobi has been harsh, the economy has been tough on us, we just want to go for a vacation. So everyone is on the road for some reason. And Mr. Worotet here will of course guide us on how to just make this conversation reach. So you will start us off on what exactly we need to know about having safe travels when everyone else is on the road.
The saddest thing ever is sitting back home and learning that your loved one is not going to come back. If you are watching news, or it has really trended on Twitter, and this time, remember I keep on saying until it hits hard on a prominent family, that is when it is taken seriously. So yesterday there was a crash on the Southern Bypass. 2 motorcycle riders dead, and inside that vehicle, it's not clear how many occupants were there, but it is also said that the son to the Inspector General of Police was there. You now realize why we really need to do more of awareness. The Southern Bypass is not a place where we should be experiencing such deaths. The festivity is here. Everyone is excited. Remember, we are coming from bad corner. We have been on lockdown for long. People have not found time to travel home. The other day it was on Twitter that if you go to book buses that are going up country, they are fully booked into next year. So people are going to hire cars, people are going to drive on roads they are not familiar with. I come from Nyanza, but when last did I travel to Nyanza? I don't know what bumps have been erected on the road. I'm not in any groups where I have this conversation. For me, I am. We are Lodka Long Distance and Conductors Association group. So everybody talks of their trip. Nimepita someplace, there is a new bump. So at least I have that intelligence. But viewers, how many of our viewers are in this group so that they get updated with the data that we have on the roads?
All right.
Because you hear an accident has happened. What has caused it? the bump just 4 kilometers past Londiani. I know where that place is. Our viewer does not know. They've not gone home in 2 years. Probably God has been faithful. The money has flowed, and now they have to hire cars. They want to drive home. You know, you coming home in a new number plate is just awesome. They have to know. You have to drive with windows down, your arms, almost half of you going outside. They just have to see you. But are we aware of what it really takes to travel safe?
And that's just the introductory remarks on that. So I'm looking at, you know, what role, you know, the motorcycle riders have right now, because someone is trying to catch a bus. Really, you cannot pay for a ticket prior and miss the bus.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at them being very essential in this period. I don't know what your remarks would be and how to actually make sure that, number one, we create awareness, and number two, ensure that our motorcycle riders are also, you know, helping us achieve this road safety and safe travels.
Basically, what happens at this season is that, as Awor says,
yes,
right now the buses are fully booked. So the next thing is that people will amusha their vehicles. That motorcycle that you haven't used for a long time, there's somebody who needs it. That car that hasn't been used for a long time, there's somebody who is looking to hire it. So you find that the garages are also now full, because people want to amusha those vehicles that haven't been in use for a long time, because the demand is there. You go to the guys who hire out cars, the good ones have already been taken. If you take a car hire late, you're likely to get one that has problems. So the first thing that needs to be done is us to evaluate ourselves. Plan well, yeah, so that we don't take the risks. Once you hire a car today to use it tomorrow, you're exposing yourself to a lot of danger, because this is a car that you haven't used before. You don't know the maintenance records. You're in a rush. You get somewhere along the way, have your trip, the car breaks down. You have your family in the car, probably little ones as well, and the pressure starts building. There's one thing we say as riders: before you get out on your vehicle, any car, motorcycle, know whether you're safe.
All right.
There's that I am safe. Am I mentally okay? Emotionally okay? Is my vehicle good? You know? Check out, am I on medication? Those are things you think about before you sit on motorcycle. So when the pressures build, what happens? Mama wants to get home, baby is crying. Then you tell yourself, we'll push this car just a little, we'll get there. But we know that most of the times people don't get there. And that's the saddest part. We lose a lot of people over this season because of, one, poor planning, two, the pressure of the demand is too high for transportation, and the supply is not there at this season. Yeah.
You're talking about they're already fully booked. And now I'm thinking, now if I found that they're fully booked, so what's the other alternative? If I find a vehicle that I have been given, this is the one I have, this is the one I get, what should I look at to ensure that if this is the only alternative left, and I cannot correct 1, 2, 3, 4 things, then let me drop it and stay over for the festivities? How can I make sure that that motor car or motorcycle is good, or it can, you know, at least work? What are the things to check?
So, for example, a motorcycle, I'll let Oworo go through the vehicles.
Okay.
For a motorcycle, there is something we call a T-clock. In the morning, what you check as a regular rider, you check that your tires are good and they have enough pressure. You check that your controls are working. Controls, we are talking about your horn is working, your indicators are working, your lights are working. Those are your controls. Then we make sure we check that you have the oil, proper oil, the bike has been serviced well, and the engine works well. Your braking system, is it working? It's now raining.
Yes.
Some people have bikes that have ABS, some people have bikes, majority have bikes that have no ABS. They're using the drum braking system and all that. When it gets wet, it's very different. So the way you ride when it's dry, it's not the way you ride when it's wet. And you need to be aware of that. You also need to be aware of the road. From my home to this place is 4 kilometers, but it took me an hour.
Okay.
To get here. The rains are here. The roads, the potholes are filled up with stones. Some of the water, you don't know what is there. It slows down the traffic more than before because the visibility of even what is under, you're not seeing it. Before you can see that's a pothole, I'm going in, it's this deep. Now you don't, so you're more careful. You slow down, go in slowly, and get out slowly. And it slows traffic, yeah? So those are the things you look out for. If you're hiring a motorcycle, do not hire it today and jump on it tomorrow. Yes. Go through the mechanical health of that motorcycle. Better when it is done with a mechanic who understands, because we ride motorcycles, but we are not all mechanics. So there are some things that I will miss out because I don't have that skill or knowledge. Yeah.
Well, now that is something to take home. Use a professional.
Yes.
Don't do it on your own.
Yes.
Because when they were listening earlier, they thought, that's okay. I can check it on my own. Because is it? But I see that drivers, motorists just check their cars on their own.
That is the biggest mistake we do. When I ask you to check the engine oil, they only want to dip the dipstick and check at the level. No one is going to check on the viscosity of the oil. You have to touch it and feel it. Is it thick? Is it light? Where am I gauging this? What is the color of this engine oil? When I start or ignite the car, what are the sounds that I am listening to? As it runs, nobody goes to the exhaust pipe to check what color of smoke is coming. And that is why now when we are headed to Nyanza, Kisumu, Eldoret, after Nakuru, Sachangwan on the hill, you find a lot of cars parked, bonnets up. They don't even check on the water. Somebody would ask you, does your car use water or coolant? Then you're like, okay.
I don't know.
They are all the one and the same. So somebody tells you, I have checked the water, I also checked the coolant. You realize it is just full of lack of knowledge, lack of it all. How many times people get stranded and they have to park because rain comes as a surprise? That is the moment they realize their blades, windshield wiper blades, are not even functioning. You find people who are, it's night. That is the moment they realize their bulbs are not functioning. So they want to drive with hazard lights. And a lot much more is coming, because in this season, I would not wish to say this, but the sad thing I said yesterday is that many are driving home and they're not coming back. But the good news is it is all avoidable if you start with the basics. Omoya has said, from the bike, you find a lot of us just go around a football pitch and then 4 times and you realize it's something you can do. So you want to do it because you realize it is something you can do. But now when it comes to the reality of riding, there's so many dynamics that will catch you unawares and you will die. And that is now where we bring in the aspect of training.
Yes.
Most of us say, I've driven ages. In fact, when I hear a driver or a rider tell me, mimi nimeendesha gari 25 years, hakuna kenye utaniambia. Oh my goodness, I always pray and say you need to be born again so that if you die, you go to heaven. Every day, even if you use a road 10 times, all the 10 trips have different experiences. So you can never be in that position to say, there's nothing that I can be told. In your 25 years of experience and driver, what do you know about journey planning? And then you realize they know nothing about journey planning. But there's nothing you can tell them. They have driven for 25 years. What do you know about taking breaks in between? What do you know about the things to carry for your own safety and the things not to carry? Many drivers are in this town and probably they'll be driving. At Mimi, we've driven with Wamuyo when we went for the Central road trip awareness. She was part of it.
Okay.
We brought back a detailed report. Who even carries a torch?
Oh, do they?
We all have the one near Simu.
Yes.
Who even carries a torch? Then, Simu inaisha moto.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
But then now, how will you, the reason why we carry the torch, it has different flicks. Probably you want to stop somebody from fire, you have to put the slow flick, or it's a way of communication. How will my phone keep on flicking fast in a certain pattern? We are in a position where all we want to go is to go home. We want to go and be with our family members, but we are going to show off. So, kaende, kasonge, you are at a junction, you are looking longer for a rider, and people are hooting back at you. So when you have confirmed that rider is coming, and by the time he reaches the junction, I will be gone, you leave the rider exposed to the other driver, and they are knocked down, and it's like, why were they even hooting? So things like journey planning management are things is a vital factor that must be put in to travel safe. Let's say I'm going to Eldoret. Are we even aware after every 200 kilometers or after every 2 hours somebody needs a 15-minute break?
Are they?
The people we have trained, people we have worked with, they know. When we will tell you, when we are doing the road trips, they are long, 2,500 kilometers, they are very long.
I'm curious, when you're doing the road trips, are you in a motorist position, or are you using your motorcycle?
Both.
Both.
Okay.
Sometimes motorcycle, sometimes a car.
All right.
And it also depends on where we are going, and that choice has to be informed by safety.
By safety?
By safety.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So in the central trip, people were amazed at the colorful dressing we have, the bikes that we have. And then in that trip, the most amazing thing was the number of stops we did.
Okay.
We would go, and then somebody just stops and say, I want to rest. And then every other person stops. And then we move again. So we want to go to Eldoret. I have to stop in Nakuru. What am I going to do in Nakuru? I'm taking a break. Probably I want to have coffee. I just want to rest. I'm still fresh. The next stop, Molo. Then Burnt Forest. Then finally Eldoret. It is more worse when you have children, because you always put them on the back seat, and your children get excited. Probably as a parent, you've not been there for long, so this is the only moment you are caged together. So it's like baba, mama, every time it's baba, mama, and they don't understand that you're driving, but you also want to show them love, so you want to do these controls and try and look. Try and look. Okay. Try and look. And you want to also prove to us, because on social media, someone told you from Nairobi, Mombasa, he did 4 hours. So you want to make a record and tell them, I did 4 or I did less, to be seen as a professional. For me, professional drivers are the ones who drive safely. They have breaks in between. They have helped saved many other lives on the road by their own actions. Yesterday I was having a conversation with a guy in a group, and they say there is a bend as you head into Mackinnon Road, Mombasa, as you go to Mombasa. So I said, normalize greeting police officers, Bana. Just stop, say, hi, how are you? I'm just using this road today, and just for you to be aware, this vehicle is on this road. So normalize greeting them, not bribing them. That was my statement.
There's a difference between greeting them and bribing them.
They are human beings, they are loved ones.
Yes.
And then just greet them. How do you feel when somebody greets you? It feels great. They have just honored you. So somebody says, just past that corner.
Yes.
There is always a group of police officers just waiting for you. And I'm asking him, why do you think they wait for you? And he says, you know, on that corner, we overtake a lot. But the dereva chunga maisha says, hapana overtake kwa kona. It's a blind spot. Chunga maisha. Then when the police stops you, you want to start crying foul. Ati wanakula sana. But you don't see yourself overtaking on a corner.
Yes,
True.
You don't see yourself on the wrong.
You always, self-righteousness.
Okay.
So self-righteousness is something that has claimed lives. And during these festivities, it's going to claim more lives. This one should be put on record. I said it. Because one, the level of incompetency in driving. I told you the certified ones are less than 2,000.
Less than 2,000. I want to hear her sentiments, because when you talked about that, I always like to hear, you know, the sentiments of, you know, our other guests. He's always reiterating that.
Yes.
And he's just said, if we don't check on these few things, the level, the number of accidents might arise. What are your sentiments on that before he continues?
We had one road safety campaign that we did together with Awar and Dan of CKK. And one of the person who was a guest speaker told us about 3 types of driver. The competent driver, the patient, and the other one is not a driver at all. It's a car operator.
Oh, yes.
So you know how to move the car, the mover.
Okay.
You know how to move the car. And it happens also on the motorcycles. And we've seen that most of the deaths on motorcycles are on commercial riders. And the reason being why we're losing more on commercial riders than we're losing on private riders is, one, because of training. Most of the commercial riders do not go to proper schools for training. So they have no skills and knowledge to be a rider, but they are motorcycle operators. They can move it. They can move it the way it's supposed to be moved. But when you get on the road, it's a different story altogether. You need to know the traffic rules. You need to know defensive riding, how to react to certain situations, because they're there and they will meet you at the most you know, when you're not prepared, unexpected. Yes. So you need to know how to react and to respond to such situations. You need to have the mechanical knowledge of your bike, especially when it comes to safety. How do my brakes perform? So if my brakes perform like this, what is my distance, braking distance? What is my best speed? So that I know if I need to brake for an emergency, I am safe. And the person in front of me and behind me is also safe. Because you've seen how people ram into each other.
Yes.
It's because they don't keep distance between the cars. It's not enough. We drive too close to each other that when the first person does a hard braking, we all come kuingiana tu, because we don't keep that. We also don't know how to our brakes respond in certain situations. And some of us don't even know how to respond to that situation. So you just find yourself in them. There's something Awar said about driving during this season, and including riding the children.
Yes.
You will find that this season is a season that we park the car full, because I have a car, I'm going to see Shushu in Nyeri.
Yes.
So I will take my family and probably my sister family. So the capacity of my car during normal seasons is usually maybe me and my husband going to see Shosho or with the kids. But this time there's need for transport. So we'll find that people will be overloading the vehicles with families because of the need, the demand for transport. It's not there. So somebody going home to Bebetu. Then the kids will have to be sitting on.
They're carried.
They're carried.
Yes.
And then we have this culture where we put the kids in front passenger seat.
Yes.
So that they can enjoy the view. And you know what happens in case of hard braking, an accident, we are losing those children. On motorcycles, we will see more children. We see the kids going to school on motorcycles. We've seen that. parents with their children going anywhere on motorcycles, one thing we lack in this country is helmets for children.
Oh yes.
We do not have helmets for children.
That's very, very, you know,
Yes.
quite an observation.
Yes.
Yes.
So even if you can buy your own helmet as a pillion to be able to use a commercial motorcycle for your transport, and you want to go with your child, you will never get a safe fitting helmet for your child.
I like to challenge us every time we bring up stuff that we don't really have.
Yes.
You being, you know, at the position that you hold, because this has to be solution driven. I know we'll continue with, you know, safe travels, and we want our children to in the next festive season have helmets of their size.
This is a project that we are having. We are so fortunate to now have manufacturers in Kenya who are manufacturing helmets, and so it makes it easier to go have this discussion, and sizes are fit for our children. So there's something positive. It's not all gloom. Yeah, but because we don't have that, our kids are exposed, and it's not by their choice. Secondly, we put very young kids on motorcycle. A child who can use a motorcycle should be tall enough to reach the pegs.
Oh,
there's a pillion pegs where you put your legs. A baby that cannot touch there means if that motorcycle wobbles, they have no support system. They're holding on to somebody who's falling, and they have nothing to put their legs on to support themselves. But because of the needs that we have and the challenges that we have those little ones. You've seen motorcycles with 4 kids.
Yes.
Somebody is assigned to drop them to school and pick them and take them back home. And none of them can reach the pegs. And you know, every time I say that, I pray to God, because I know these children cannot get helmets. Even if their parents wanted to buy the helmets for them, they cannot get them. And secondly, the risk they're involved to. The number one killer in motorcycle accidents is head injuries.
yes, yes.
Yeah, so the minimum you should have is this.
Okay.
The minimum you should have is that. You can heal a fracture, you can nurse bruises, you can heal anything else, but the head has no repair, unfortunately.
Wow. Okay.
So that's something we are looking into to make sure that our school-going children and parents who opt for motorcycle transport for one reason or the other, and they have to do it with their children are safe. Yeah.
That generation needs to be secured by all means. Thank you very much for, of course, bringing us up to speed on not having the right sizes for the children's helmets and what is being done to actually make sure this happens. We're really, really proud of that manufacturing, group, and we're looking forward to actually safeguarding our children.
Yes.
Now, I want to bring this. You're talking about incompetency. Now, allow me to bring a story in this. Well, I think since last weekend, I was in a matatu from Rongai. Sister matatu from Rongai, and there seemed to have been some antagonism between the matatu driver and the motorcycle riders. It's an aspect of how to. So they each seem to be, blaming each other on matters of competency. I don't know if that has come to your attention. I don't know what you have to say when it comes to these festivities and safe travels. For some reason, we are the competent ones. You're the ones who are always, swerving around the road. How do you see this, aspect as it stands right now? Because if you have those blame games, you're going to lose more lives.
Yeah.
The moment we decide to point fingers, I'm on record saying an average driver will always point a finger at a blame. So the moment we start pointing fingers, we are not even working for the solution.
Okay.
We are only building up the fire for road rage, because I have to show you that you have to respect me on the road. Our culture is different. And it is seen, if you are on a motorcycle, you are not successful enough compared to me, who is in an Alto. If you are on a bicycle, you are the most inferior, you have no voice. But if it is about that, we go into pricing. Some bicycles are way expensive than cars. Some motorcycles are way expensive than a home mortgage. So it is just at that moment when someone decides, as for me, this is my mode of transport that I want to use. You see these PSVs that we have. There is this common term called kamagera. These are people who, they really know how to move that vehicle. They know when to change gears. They know when to stop. But then there is more need for training.
Okay.
It's not just about moving that vehicle. You know, for you to have a PSV license, they tell you you must have driven for 5 years. There is some experience they expect you to have had. Unfortunately, Kenya has no PSV school.
No.
We don't have any PSV school. So you get your license, you wait for 5 years, you pay money, you are given the PSV sticker. And then now you can drive any PSV. Let me use this Noah and Wish type of cars. Most of them are being used as fast means of travel compared to the shuttle. Those guys, if you look at their driver's licenses, they even have less than 1 year experience. They have no upgrade training, but they are on the road every other day. We see the type of crashes that they have, like what has just been played on our screen. It's a junction, and then another vehicle just comes, impatient of overtaking, and when she overtakes, they run into a ditch. Then you realize there is a lot of incompetency. This is a junction. What are the things to check out for in a junction?
Yes.
It's a blind place. What if the other car is coming at a way much higher speed that they will not make it? They will ram you at that junction. So you realize that nobody has been talking. On the people who have been talking, nobody wants to listen to us. Somebody asked me, why are you doing these drives? Si unaharibu mafuta sana. And then I was like, okay. One day I will ask the people who we have done the drives with, why are you doing these drives? For us, it's about collecting data. Someone sees an emergency car and they don't give way.
Or they rally behind it. Have
They
you
want
seen
to
it?
drive behind it.
Yes.
They don't want to give it way, and then they're drivers. Then you realize we have a big problem, a very, very big problem, that awareness is the only cure. Awareness is the only cure. When we were doing the Central trip where we have so many riders, people were like, nyinyi mko na pesa sana. Yani mnazunguka tu. But our main theme was to tell people it is possible to share the road with that rider without knowing who is under that helmet. You don't have to know that ni wa moyo. You don't have to know that mimi ndio niko kwa hiyo gari. Just know that that person is a loved one.
Yes.
And there are promises they made in the morning, and they need to go back and fulfill it. The same, I am a loved one to other people. There is something that has to be done about it. So on safe travels this festive season, we must plan well. She mentioned a very vital part. In the classes of what causes crashes,
Yes.
we have the human error. That is the largest.
Okay.
Then we have environmental factors. And then she mentioned garages are full. The mechanical factor part of it. You are there with your family, and on a daily day when they're driving home, there are just a few of them. The vehicle performs well, but this time everybody is coming on board. The vehicle is overloaded, and the performance has to change. The climate is different. But because we've been going home with this 1300cc and it performs well
Yes.
on a lightweight, that is the assumption we come with. When today it is overloaded, and definitely it will perform much more slower. Then the line is continuous yellow.
Yes.
It seems clear. And you want to say, see me gari huwa ina peak. Then you step on it. Then it does a backdrop. I know my car.
Oh.
Yeah, you know your car, but you don't know mine. So I would say this is a 1300cc. This place ni mezoea, gari mezoea, huwa nakanyaga and then it goes. But that day, the vehicle dynamics are totally different because one, there is a lot of weight. So the vehicle will struggle to catch up. And then there is this, on an automatic car, when you step hard on the gas pedal, it does a kick drop. Instead of picking instantly, it goes back to the lowest gear to gain momentum and torque, then it starts picking. So if you are going to overtake, check. Try this. Step on the gas pedal hard. You'll see your speedometer drop first. Then it starts to pick. So you are going to overtake and there's another vehicle coming. Then it drops. By the time you pick up well,
Yes.
you are half the lorry, half the bus, and the other vehicle is too close. And that is why we are having a lot of head-on collisions, because people go with the assumptions of this model, this one is always super.
And I'll be there in 3 hours.
But they
Mark.
don't know the specifications.
I want to come back to, what the steps you're taking us through. And I'm looking at, you've mentioned the roads. I'm sure the roads we always hear accidents have happened through these festivities. And you people make trips. And yeah, there are changes. We're a bit conversant with some of these roads. And now you just want to highlight some of them so that the viewer is just equipped with the knowledge that if you are coming from Bungoma, especially Maimahiu, I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but when we start traveling back home, there's always an accident or vehicles are ramming on each other. Can you mention some of these roads just so maybe they are acquainted with them?
To be honest, number one is that we have a lot of road constructions going on right now. I don't think there's any county without something happening. One, for the reasons that we thank the government for this project, and secondly, we're heading into the elections year. So those who did not perform are performing now. They are now busy repairing the roads that we have been asked to repair. It is that time. So that is first thing we need to remember and put in our minds, that as much as last week this road was said to be okay, or you used it and it was okay, it is not guaranteed to be the same. Something else we've noted is that we have Kenha and Kura erecting bumps and rubble bumps at night. And they don't mark them and they don't put signage. So you wake up in the morning, especially as people for piki, you know that this section has been kaende. But woe unto you.
Yes.
You realize that there are bumps within no braking time. Yeah, you don't have enough time to respond to this. So you either hit them, fly, roll, God forbid. That is one challenge we have. And I would like to call out to the authorities to ensure when you erect bumps, put a signage and mark them. With the road constructions, because of the progress, diversions are changing every day. There was one day that people went ranting on Twitter because every day on Mombasa Road changed, the diversions changed. We got lost for a long time because you left in the morning, you used this side, when you're coming back, it's a totally different. We have to factor in that in our planning for our journeys, whether you're going to the office or going up country. The other thing I would like to address is drive within safe limits.
Okay.
That is in speed and time. If you're going to Mombasa, do not give yourself a small time, leaving at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because you think I can do Mombasa in 4 hours. No, be realistic, plan well. And also time for safety and your speed for safety. assuming that because you drive this model of a car that is known to be very fast, you can actually do less hours on a journey, is quite irresponsible, because you're not the only road user.
Yes.
You're going to find other things and other people and traffic and all these things that will affect your time on the road. So we need to plan very, very well.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's something she's touched on. I've had a bit of Mombasa Road changing and confusing people. Which other roads do you think have black spots that we should look out for
before we go,
yes.
I want Wamuyu to tell us about Red Hill. The other day you were making a lot of noise about the bumps at Red Hill. Tell us what those bumps have really done to us.
The bumps on Red Hill have killed people and have left others disabled, totally on a wheelchair. And the most unfortunate thing is when we have the authority responsible for providing us with safe, good roads, being the one causing these injuries, deaths, then you're left wondering, let me use the Kenyan saying, in whose hands are we safe? Yeah, because the person or the bodies, the authorities responsible to give us good roads cannot.
Okay.
Then it means not even your skills, your experience, your good mechanically healthy vehicle will save you. That road has determined your destination. It has determined your destination. And on our Yakiwi, between Corporation and 87, we woke up one day and found bumps and rubber bumps. And vehicles that ply that route, especially the commercial vehicles, matatus that go up country, they usually know the road and they know here we are moving at this speed we are going. And all of a sudden, everybody is screeching and braking. And accidents happen. The other day I was on that road, they have now removed them.
All right. Now they're out.
And they do not advise anyone. Communications is key in everything. And all we are asking is put a signage when you make. Let the drivers, as they approach those sections that you have made the changes, you've put the bumps and rubber bumps, let them know with that signage that this is approaching. You are now approaching an area that you need to slow down. You're now approaching an area with bumps. That's all we're asking. And we know that road construction budgets include road markings and signage. Gong Road is another one. Finally, they have heeded to Kenya Twitters.
All right.
They are now correcting Gong Road between Junction and Lenana School. But do we have to lose people? Do we have to go on Twitter? Do we have to get angry until we use words and statements that are not polite anymore for the government or the responsible bodies to take action? Your job is to give us good, safe roads. Do it right, fast time. Simple.
All right, very, very articulate there. Do it right first time. We were talking about that yesterday on who is responsible for road safety, and I'm glad that you brought that up as well and have really given us the real picture of what happens on the roads. And I hope the authorities are watching, and we hope to also host them soon for, you know, solution-driven conversations. As we come back to you, I see people have woken up, and I just want to acknowledge that they're watching.
Thank you.
Of course, Captain Rono says he is tuned all the way from is watching live from Embu, so good morning. Eric Kengara is of course watching and are talking about Kondele bypass, saying the traffic is flowing from Kasagam flyover to Kondele bypass to Bandani flyover.
Kisumu.
So that is Kisumu. They're watching all the way from Kisumu. Political discourse is saying good conversation. I'm a private rider and I concur with the remarks here. Commercial riders are mostly learning by trial and error and get on the road once the wheels start spinning. Now, riding can be dangerous if no proper training and discipline is observed. Riding gear is a must.
Yes.
Thank you very much. That is our political discourse. Thank you for, of course, tweeting. And of course, Cliff Aboki saying, of course, just saying he's watching. So basically, people are following the conversation. And remember, we're talking about safe travels. But as we do that, we're looking at anything else that could make it difficult to achieve the safe travel. So be keen and also talk to me on Facebook. I'll be sampling up #TheMorningDrift. So remember to start any feedback with #TheMorningDrift. Let me come Back to you, Mr. Worotat. You were talking about things that need to be put in place for safety through your travels.
So I talked about planning your journey.
Yes.
Make sure it is mechanically sound. Number 2, the car is mechanically sound. Know each and every control of that car. Don't fumble with it. There is no harm in saying, I've never driven this type of car. What does this light mean on the dashboard? Because the vehicle will always speak to you. The light comes to warn you. Make sure you are conversant with the vehicle lights. Make sure you are conversant with the controls. There are certain type of cars that when you want to indicate, it's the wiper that comes. When you want to put on the wiper, it's the indicator that comes. Learn where the specific controls are, because some of these controls, you use them to communicate. And then know the ability of the vehicle you are using. There is this type of van, we call it chopper, the box. Many people love the part that it is turbocharged and it has a lot of power to pick. But what they come to realize when it's too late, it has braking issues.
Is that the shuttle? Mostly the shuttle?
Yeah, the shuttle mostly. We call it the chopper. When it's time to brake, that is when the moment of reality hits. And it being an automatic car, most people don't even know how to downshift.
Yeah.
A manual car, probably you'll come from gear 5 and put gear 2 and just leave everything, and it slows down so hard as if the engine is going to explode. But when it comes to automatic, people don't know how to downshift. You want to drive from Mombasa to Nairobi, you don't know what P means, you don't know what R means, you don't know what N means, you don't know what D2, D3, L, B, what they mean. You are a mover because you are going by trial. Some make a joke and say N is for night driving, D is for day driving. But then, you must know the controls. That is what I'm saying. You must know the controls. Because if you look at the number of crashes we have had with this chopper box, we call it the box. The coffin is a box. You realize that it has so much power, it will pick. But when you need it to stop, it will not stop. Get to know well the people you are traveling with. Get to know them well. Because people react differently to emotions, especially when we are excited, we are going home. Most people don't know that when I'm alone in the car, I scream and dance. Wamuyo will tell you, she's seen me on these trips. I'm always alone in the car. But at some point when I'm overtaking, you see me really charged for it, and I'm screaming and I'm singing along.
Okay.
And then we react differently. So learn well the people you are traveling with. Know what they can do, know what they can handle, know what they cannot. Because at one point, they cannot handle the speed you are going to, and they will do something that shocks you. So your adrenaline might charge because you want to respond to them and you're still on the road. So learn very well the people you're traveling with. Make sure you ask the route. Nowadays, people are very friendly on Twitter. Just tell them, I want to travel to Eldoret. How is that road? You'll find people coming to tell you the latest updates. It is intelligence collection for that specific road.
All right.
Plan well where you are going to have your stops. I nowadays like carrying my food when I'm traveling, because you might think your body is used to Elianto, then they used Kimbo, then you start having upsets. It's the worst, the worst. So learn where to make your stops, plan well where to eat your food, and make sure you are not the cause of other people's lead to being statistics. If you can give way, just give way.
All right.
If somebody wants to overtake you, allow them overtake you. And please, viewers, there is this habit. I don't know if it's happening to me because people now identify the car. They come, they want to overtake you, then they realize this is a rotate, so they slow down
Yes.
so that you come closer to them and say hi, or probably just they want to take a photo of you and they're on the wrong lane. This one happened to me 4 times when we were on the coastal region trip. So being a defensive driver, I decide to accelerate and leave you with space, because when you slow down, again you want to pick and you're on the wrong lane, you will not achieve that overtake. So I allow you to come behind me. So people must also learn to be responsible.
All right.
Yeah.
These 3 things I hate most. I don't know. I didn't see. I didn't think. Who else must see if it is not you? Who else must think if it is not you? And who else must know?
Okay.
There is this part I want to ask Wamoyo. Why is it that economic riders, border, are more involved in crashes than you, the private bikers?
The first reason is training.
Training.
Yeah.
If you look at the commercial riders, they don't go to a proper school for training. They train themselves. So I ride a motorcycle. I know someone in my village, my hood,
Yes.
who needs
Maybe
a job.
uncle. Yes.
I teach them in the evening, and tomorrow I find them an employer who has some motorcycles, and they will get a motorcycle, they'll start riding, and they'll be paying 300 bob, I think that's what they pay, to 400 bob a day. So we have first contributor, people who have now commercialized or who have businesses for borders.
Yes.
I own 30 of them. Who do I employ? I employ this generation without asking, do you have the proper training? Do you have a license valid? Do you have NHIF just in case something happens? Are you able to get to hospital and get help immediately? Because most of the riders or the accident victims die on the stretcher as they're looking to raise some funds to get the first aid or the initial, that golden hour, that's where they die. And then, do you have the safety gear? That is lacking in the commercial riders. While on the other side of private riders, we do proper training.
All right.
And once you do the initial training, we don't stop there. We have what we call progressive training. For example, when you're starting as a rider, you start on a smaller cc bike. You will find that most of us do between 150 and 300 cc as a beginner bike. When you start riding, you figure out what kind of riding you want to do.
Okay, there are types of riding?
Yes.
All right.
Some people, when you're joining, you think a sports bike is what I want. And you start with a sports bike or a sports looking bike. But when you now practically start riding, you realize it doesn't fit you, maybe because of sitting positions, where you ride it, how you ride, when you want to ride. Or you prefer a more upright adventure bike because you would like to be able to go to Kisumu with it, to Turkana with it, travel and see the country with it. Then you have to move from this basic training and do another training to be able to adjust from a smaller cc to a bigger cc or to a different riding style.
Okay.
We have sports, racing, we have street bikes, the commuter, the ones we use to work, we have adventure traveler bikes, they do long distance, and then we have off-road bikes, people who love to ride in mud, rocky areas, the guys who do enduro, motocross. So there are different types. And each one of it has a set of skills you need to acquire. We invest in that. On the commercial side, people do not invest on training, do not invest on safety gear, because safety gear comes in very, very handy. If you have an accident, and accidents are not just for a particular group of people. Accidents will happen to anyone, including myself. I've had accidents. But if you don't have the safety gear, your risk of serious injuries or even death is higher. It is higher.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd like to speak to the people who are now owning those businesses where you have a number of motorcycles that you give out for transport, courier services and all. Please ensure that your riders have a helmet first. Training, proper training, and they are licensed.
Okay.
That is the basic minimum that they should. And these business owners are the people who are going to help us move from where we are to a better place, more safer place for our riders and our businesses. I know a lot of people who drive cars and live in other areas where they don't need to use the motorcycles,
yes,
tend to view motorcycle riders as pillions only. So in your mind, you're like, why do people take motorcycles? Mbona unaendesha, unabebwa na boda? You know you should take a matatu. But I would like to remind them that your pizza was delivered by someone on a motorcycle. When you ordered something on Jumia, it was delivered by someone on a motorcycle. Where your nanny, your
yes,
gardener, the person who works for you in your home, goes home probably by motorcycle. So when you're pointing fingers and saying, hawa watu wa boda boda, they're not serving those other people you think. You're a bigger user of a motorcycle rider than those other people you point and think are doing it wrong. So help us, join us in this campaign and help us sanitize,
yes,
the boda industry. Help us bring safety on the commercial riders industry and help us bring dignity to the industry, because it's the one that has supported this country during the pandemic.
All right, I think she has actually said so much. I wouldn't want to dilute. I don't even know if I'm going to come back to your closing remarks because we're wrapping up.
Yeah.
I want to put a group of, I don't know if it's authorities, but I wish there was someone from the Matatu Association. And I know you have interacted with these people. You said now it's festivities, buses are booked, but I have to go home because it is Thanksgiving, or we have to meet on this day, or it's Grandpa's anniversary. So there are buses that don't even ply a certain route, but they're out there being booked. And this has happened. It might again be happening.
And it will happen.
And it will happen, but what can you say about this? Because these are buses that are not fit to ply certain routes, long distances. You'll find I don't want to mention names, but a vehicle that works around the city. Now you see it on Ahero Road or something like that, Meru, Embu Road. What do you have to say about that, even as viewers now are planning on booking what they find to actually go back home? For convenience, rather.
What I'll say is this. No vehicle is limited to any route.
Okay.
We cannot say that the 33 seaters cannot go to Busia. That I will be lying. So the government allows that we apply for temporary TLB so that they can apply that route. My worry is the driver of that vehicle. Is he competent for highway driving? You know, there is urban, city setting driving. And then everybody knows this matatu on this route, so they will always give way. But on highway driving, you're going to meet a crazy truck driver who is fatigued all the way from Sudan. All they want to do is to return this truck back to the yard in Mombasa, take their days off. So there is rush in this moment. And you find that the way our guys try to do maneuvers, mara umepanda pavements, unasongea watu wapite hivi, that is what they take out there on the highway driving. City driving has no yellow continuous lanes. Then this vehicle, for the last 4 years, it's been doing Rongai town, Utawala town, Thika Road, Githurai 45 town. The vehicle, the system of the vehicle is not used for longer distances. And you find that there are no steeps on these roads. Okay. Then you want to leave Nairobi, go to Mombasa, the types of hills that you are going to find there makes the vehicle engine operates like a human lung. Yeah. If you run for long,
yes, as we wrap up,
your chest gets clogged. Mm-hmm. So as we are going into this festivity, it is each and everyone's responsibility. Whichever vehicle you will find to go home with, do not keep silent. All right. When that driver is going bad, Speak out. The beautiful thing is they don't know who you are. And this is what I've learned. If it is in a PSV and you speak out, the driver normally listens because they don't know who you are. They don't know who you are.
All right.
Make it a personal choice to stand up and talk. Stop tweeting. Stop WhatsApping me, telling me this driver is driving bad. I'm not in that car. I'm in the comfort of a seat somewhere, probably taking coffee like right now. I will respond. I will talk to the traffic authorities in that region. But what if you don't make it to the next stop? What will you say?
All right. That's a challenge, and of course people are watching. We want to wrap up. I usually say I hope this could be 2 hours into the morning drift, because a lot of people really want to know how to make sure that, because no one wants their loved ones to lose them, and no one wants to lose their loved ones. And real quick, just to give the feedback, Okoth Jombest Samuel, morning Oworo Tet, but Okoth is only saying hi to Mr. Oworo Tet.
No, Okoth, we were in the same high school.
We are all here.
Where Jombest? Salimia kila mtu.
He's saying you're doing a great job together with the team. At least we showed up somewhere. Keep on educating Kenyans on road safety. Good morning. Isaac Nyasende, very nice show watching from Nairobi. Kahara David says,
must say hi to Wamuyu.
Yes, he has said Wamuyu Karaoke is very knowledgeable on road safety. Awesome. Wish the government can identify these selfless individuals and use them for road safety campaigns. Of course, Sally Daniel says, good morning, Anki. I am following the conversation and it's so informative. Thanks, Mr. Oworo Tet. Good job, sir. Wanjiru Agocho, good morning. Look Up TV following from Amboseli. And of course, Gati Phil, RSSD member.
Road safety and safe driving practices member.
All right, says we must bring sanity, just what you said, to our roads. And of course, Mwangi Gichuhi Ibra says tuned, representing again RSSDP.
Those are people who are in my training groups, the WhatsApp groups.
Oh, absolutely, that's amazing. And at long distance truck drivers, trailers, that's also a group she is in, or he is in, pardon me. Today I'm in Nairobi. I'm doing Nairobi, Mombasa, but have stopped at machinery to watch you then continue. Wow, oh, that's good.
Imagine he's watching and taking a rest.
And he should watch away from, not put the phone somewhere. Yeah. There's something they put to hold the phone.
No, they normally pack.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. I think that's a good safety measure.
Yes.
All right, so those are a few people who are watching, and of course, MC Jimmy Wachega also following. I will also sample the more feedback as we continue, but our time has run out. Okay. And when we spoke, we brought out something very clear on having the children's helmets, parents, being aware about that, and just what the authorities should do. Make people aware that this construction has changed in this way. So communication for you really stood out, and I hope the authorities watched. Because if they change something on the 24th or the 22nd, then something might go wrong for many, many families. So thank you very much. For
as we wrap up,
yes.
Most people don't know why I'm working with the Moyo Karaoke.
Yes, please.
She has ridden a motorcycle in more than 20 countries in Kenya. Actually, that tells you how more experienced she is than I am. Can you tell us about it?
20 counties.
Countries.
Yes. He said 20 countries in Kenya. Or 20.
Oh, I did the mistake.
You confused me there for a second.
Yes,
but
yes. I'm popularly known for that world tour. We did 20 countries in Africa 10 and South America 10.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, on a motorcycle. Were it not for the pandemic, we would still be on the road. But we are grateful for what we achieved and the lessons we learned. There's so much out there that we learned that I am happy to bring back home. So that's why road safety.
And I wanted to ask how many more are you training so I can join? I will join.
They organize a lot of online training. I've been a trainer in some.
Okay.
That is when we talked of the OODA loop.
Yes. We do online virtual trainings. Those are theoretical and conversations like this one's on road safety.
Okay.
And we also do physical where we meet people. I've partnered, I Ride for Helmets, which is my campaign for helmet safety, partnered with Ink Sisterhood, which is a group for riding women here in Kenya. And you do a lot of road safety This year alone, we've done a lot. In fact, we were talking with Owor, and he would like to have the team, the safety team in Ink Sisterhood, on the stage. So I am not going to spoil this. When he does that, you will hear more from the team.
All right, so I'm looking forward to the team, and thank you for watching, for being a team member back at home and watching the Arrive Alive segment. This would never come to an end, and like Mr. Ward said, never ever stop.
Never ever miss. And make sure you invite someone.
Today they did.
Yeah.
You are going into the weekend. You can check what we talked about on Monday, Tuesday up to Friday as we prepare for the next week.
All right, so I'll also grab myself a helmet. I'll figure out how to do that. So reach out to them on their social media platforms and figure out how to get your helmet and your gears, and just how to, of course, keep learning. Not just any of the first training of either being a motorcycle rider or a motorist. Remember, they have said keep learning and stay aware as a pillion, I like that word, pedestrian and a driver. Be safe, it's your responsibility. We wish you safe travels if you're already traveling home this weekend, and if you're planning to travel, we wish you safe travels. This is #The Morning Drift. My name is Anki Dorisumbat. I want to